Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. Shalom and good evening to the whole house, the whole Ba'it of Yasha, all 12 tribes, worldwide, wherever your feet are touching the soil on this evening. Peace and blessings, shalom and barakut to you and your entire house. Shalom and good evening to the elder brother, Yahudah. Shalom and good evening to the younger brother, Ephraim, otherwise called Ephraim. Shalom and good evening to the former stranger, the former foreigner, who was formerly estranged from the everlasting covenant, but having received the Ruach of adoption, the Ruach HaKadosh, the Ruach of Yahusha HaMashiach, and whereby being engrafted into the olive tree, who is Yahusha, who is Yasha'al, and whereby now becoming a fellow citizen of Yasha'al, and whereby now becoming privy to the same everlasting covenant and promise and inheritance that was given to Yasha'al and to Yasha'al alone. Shalom and good evening to you and your entire house, wherever your feet are touching the soil on this evening, wherever you are listening under the sound of my voice, Barak Yahuwah. And for those of you who are on YouTube, who will hear this message, this proclamation, this teaching later on, if you have a desire to fellowship or to join us live, either on our fourth day gatherings or on our Shabbat gatherings, when this teaching, this message, this proclamation is uploaded to YouTube, there in the video description box, there will be an email address that you can use. You can utilize that to reach out to us if you have a desire to fellowship with us live, either on our fourth day gatherings or on our Shabbat gatherings. Fellowship with who, you ask? We are YAHUAH'S Remnant. This is YAHUAH'S Remnant Assembly. And if you have a desire to fellowship with us, perhaps you too are YAHUAH'S Remnant. Who is YAHUAH'S Remnant? Well, I can tell you first off who we are not. And who we are not is we are not some church. We're not some 5013C organization. We're not some camp, and we're not some ministry. We simply are who we are, and that is YAHUAH'S Remnant Assembly, of whom he's gathering in this end time season from the four corners of the earth, sealing us with the seal of the living Elohim, writing his name upon our forehead, calling us out of the nations, out of darkness into his marvelous light, back within the safety and the confines of the fence, the place where sheep belong, there being gathered and being preserved, there in a holding pen, if you will, a point of embarkation, if you will, just in the nick of time, awaiting the ark of the covenant to come and gather us up and to take his people to his Kadosh mountain, Mount Zion, where we will be given a song that no one else can sing. Saved from the hour of trial, saved from the hour of trouble, from Yahuwah's distress, from Yahuwah's trouble, what the Christians call the Great Tribulation. Saved from this time, just in the nick of time, is only a remnant people. Only a remnant people is going to be saved from the hour of trial, from the great distress. And that remnant people is is the house of Judah. It's none other than the house of Judah, the house of Yahudah. If you have been listening to Yahuwah's messages at any length, then this is not something new to you. By this time, you should have a complete, detailed understanding of why we are saying now that the 144,000 is indeed the house of Yahudah, because it is. It is the house of Yahudah, his covenant people, as Yahudah has never been divorced, whereas Ephraim was divorced in the year 722 BCE, where Ephraim remains amongst the nations, divorced until this day, where Ephraim will not be restored until the everlasting covenant with Yahuwah until after the great distress. These are not my words. These are the master's words. They are in the scriptures. The master has spoken these with great detail through his servant. Nevertheless, this is who we are. We are Yahuwah's remnant. We are Yahudim. We are Yahudi men and women who are now his covenant people, being sealed with the seal of the living Elohim, just in time, just in the nick of time. This is who we are. And if you have a desire to fellowship with us, either on our 4th day gatherings or on our Shabbat gatherings, again, there will be an email address listed in the video description box of this video. Once it has been uploaded, you're welcome to use that email address to contact us. We'll be glad to hear from you. We truly will. We'll be glad to hear from you if you have a desire to fellowship with us live. Nevertheless, once again, welcome to Yahuwah's Remnant Midweek Gathering. I am Dawood ben Yahuwah, and this is my Aisha, which is to say wife, Ashayah.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, 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 Barak Yahuwah. Shalom and good evening to you, peace and blessings. Shalom and barakut to you and your entire house. Nevertheless, there is a word from the Master on this evening for his remnant people, for his covenant people, those of whom he's given eyes to see and ears to hear and a heart to understand during this appointed season, during this consummation of the times, the consummation of the times, a time unlike the earth has ever seen. Indeed, this is the consummation of the times in which death is at the doorstep. Death is coming to this earth very soon. Death is getting ready to manifest in flesh and come to this earth very soon. You should now have the understanding that Yahuwah is life. Yes, he is. Hasatan is death. Yahuwah is light. Hasatan is darkness. Yahuwah is righteousness. Hasatan is unrighteousness. Yahuwah is clean. Hasatan is uncleanness. He is the counterpart. He is the counterpart of Yahuwah. He was once his high priest, but he has been cast down, not yet cast down to earth, but cast down from his presence into the lower Shamayim. He is getting ready to put on flesh. He is getting ready to manifest in flesh. Death is getting ready to come to this earth to gather his portion. To gather his portion. He's getting ready to come to the earth to gather the chaff, to gather the flesh. All of those who are operating in flesh and who have not been, who have not received the greater separation. The greater separation being the Ruach HaKadosh, being the spirit of separation, being the Ruach of separation, being Yahushua HaMashiach. Those who have not been redeemed, who have not been redeemed from death by the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. Not merely saying you have been redeemed, but having partaken of his flesh and having drinking of his dam, having received the Ruach HaKadosh, the spirit of separation, the Ruach of separation, and having received the greater separation, having received the seal of the living Elohim upon your forehead. And in this season, the Master has declared that that number is 144,000. The Master has declared that, that from the beginning, Hasatan legally stole the dominion from Adam. He legally stole his possessions. He legally stole not only his possessions, but he legally stole his freedom. And because of this, Adam was sold into slavery. He was under the subjection of a new master. Yes, he was. Hasatan became his master. Yes, he did. Hasatan became the master of all flesh and of all the seed of Adam. He became his master because instead of obeying Yahuwah, who was his master, he obeyed Hasatan. Yes, he did. We are a servant of whomever we obey. He obeyed Hasatan, and thus Hasatan became his master and the master of all flesh. So he sold himself and his seed into slavery, into bondage to Pharaoh. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And not only did he do so, he sold his possessions. He sold the earth. He sold his possessions. So now Hasatan has become the Elohim of this earth. But just in the nick of time, at the appointed time, Yahuwah said his word. Yes, he did. He sent his word. He fulfilled this promise that he made to Adam, and he sent his word at the appointed time, taking on flesh. Just as death is getting ready to take on flesh, life took on flesh, love took on flesh, righteousness took on flesh, light took on flesh. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Read John chapter 1. The light took on flesh. Yes, he did. And he came and he took the punishment. He took the judgment for his son. And he came as the kinsman redeemer and redeemed them from bondage, redeemed them from slavery. And he restored his possessions to him. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Just because we don't physically have our possessions now doesn't mean that our possessions have not been restored to us. They have been restored. Life has been restored to us. We have been redeemed from darkness, provided that you have been redeemed, provided that you have received the greater separation, the spirit of Yahushua HaMashiach, the Ruach HaKadosh, the greater separation. And in this season, Yahuwah has proclaimed to his people that only 144,000 are going to receive that greater separation and be separated from death unto life in this season, just in the nick of time before death manifests himself and comes to this earth. And so we're not going to speak much more about that. There's been much said about it in previous videos. There was much said about it this past Shabbat. And in fact, this teaching, this message tonight is a continuation of what the Master spoke to his children this past Shabbat. It is a continuation of that. It is a continuation of that greater separation. And the Master has spoken to his people that right before Sukkot last year, he spoke that, behold, I do a great separation. And right before this Sukkot, he has made the declaration that he is now doing a greater separation, an unprecedented greater separation, unlike the world has ever seen, unlike the world has ever seen. But it's not different. What is taking place has taken place before, because there's nothing new under the sun. It is a greater separation in this season only because there are now 7+ billion people on the earth. And from that 7+ billion people, only 144,000 worldwide are going to receive that greater separation and are going to be separated from death unto life in this season. But this is not something new. This is not something new. That there's always been a separation in the earth. The Master has proclaimed this to his people. There has always been a separation in the earth. There's nothing new. Nothing new on the sun. And what's taking place in this season in that vein, it's not new. The only thing that makes it unprecedented is because this is the final season. This is the final season. And all those who are not part of that greater separation, most of those who are not part of that greater separation are going to die at the hands of death. They're going to die and perhaps suffer at the hands of death, because he has a legal right to come and to do what he does, and that is to kill, steal, and destroy. He is coming to gather his portion. He is coming to gather what belongs to him. And if those days are not shortened, as the text declares in Matthew chapter 24, no flesh is going to remain. No flesh is going to remain. And so the Master's been warning his people with fervent warnings to be a part of this greater separation. If you hear his voice in this season, harden not your hearts. Go down to the threshing floor. Allow him to separate you from the chaff and gather you as the wheat until his barn. And the sad reality of this truth is that, truthfully, only 144,000 are going to hear and receive this word and be gathered into his barn and be saved from the hour of trial that is soon, very soon, very soon. If you have the discernment of a gnat, yes, if you have the discernment of a gnat, you understand what thus says Yahuwah. Even a gnat has discernment. Try walking up on one. If you try walking up on one and he senses danger, he's going to fly away. Yes, he will. Try it. A gnat will do so. Yes, he will. He discerns danger. You try to walk up on him, he's going to fly away. Yes, he will. Yes, he will. So if you have the discernment of a gnat, you ought to be able to discern the danger that is coming upon this earth, the death, the mayhem that is coming upon this earth in a short time. if you have even the discernment of a gnat. Nevertheless, to not belay this any longer, this is a continuation of the Shabbat message. And if you're taking notes this evening, the title of this message, this proclamation, this teaching, is Searching for the Ancient Path, Part 87. Searching for the Ancient Path, Part 87. Be separate or die. Be separate or die. The destroyer comes. The destroyer comes. The destroyer is otherwise known as death. He is death. He is Hasatan. Hasatan is death, as Yahuwah is life. Searching for the Ancient Path, Part 87. Be separate or die. Be separate or die. The destroyer comes. The destroyer comes. As the master continues to warn, he warned his people this past Shabbat that this is no new concept. This is no new concept. This has always been the way. Be separate or die. In other words, choose life or death. Choose life or death. In the words of Masha, where he called the Shamayim and the earth as witnesses against our ancestors. Choose life or death. The barakah of the curse. Be separate or die. The destroyer comes. This is no new concept, but in this season, in this unprecedented season, the loss of life is going to be unlike the world the earth has ever seen. Again, the master spoke that there were somewhat over 800,000 people during the time of the flood that perished. We're talking now about 7+ billion people versus 144,000 who are going to have the seal of the living Elohim, who the master is going to seal, preserve, and keep from the hour of trial that is soon, very soon to come upon this earth. This is no new concept. This is no new concept. Be separate or die. Be separate or die. Be separate or die. Be separated. Be kadosh. Be set apart or die. Or die. This is the choice. Be separate or die. And the master has given us the understanding that the only way to be separated or to be separate is via the separated Ruach. It is Yahuwah who separates us. It is he and he alone that separates us. There is no other way to be separated other than having the seal of the living Elohim upon our foreheads. The Ruach of separation. The Ruach HaKadosh, the greater separation, Yahushua HaMashiach, Yahushua HaMashiach. It is he who we proclaim. He is the stone that the builders rejected. He is the stone that has been laid in Zion. He is the stone that the builders rejected, who has become the chief cornerstone. It is he that we proclaim. He is the greater separation. He has always been a stumbling block, and he remains a stumbling block until this day. Line upon line, precept upon precept. Be separate or die. Be separate or die. This is no new concept. It has always been this way. Be separate or die. Turn with us to Bereshit, Genesis chapter 2. Genesis chapter 2, the very beginning, Bereshit chapter 2. Time out. We cannot play games. We cannot be lackadaisical. Even if you slumber, you're going to die as well. These are the words of the master. He's spoken these words. If you slumber, if you sleep, you're going to die. You're going to die because if you're slumbering and you're sleeping, you're not separated unto him. To sleep means it means to be dead. To sleep the sleep of death. It means to be dead. If you're sleeping, you're already dead. You're already dead. He's not the Elohim of the dead. He is the Elohim of the living. And if his breath resides in you, if you have the seal of the living Elohim, you're no longer dead, you're alive, and you're separated now into life. This is no time to slumber or sleep. This is no time to think that you're separated, to assume that you're separated, to get big-headed, to get puffed up, and to think that you have somehow already arrived. Do not assume that you have been separated. The master is calling his people to the threshing floor. Do not assume that you've been separated. Be separate or die. Be separate or die. These are his words. Death cometh. Death cometh to the earth. The destroyer comes. These are his words. These are his words. Do not take his words lightly. Do not take his words lightly. I don't know how much longer he is going to proclaim through his servant. Do not take his words lightly. Be separate or die. This is no new concept, but it's always been this way. Genesis chapter 2, Barashit chapter 2, beginning at verse 7. Read, little one.
And Yahuwah Elohim formed a man out of dust from the ground, and breathed into his nostrils breath of lives, and the man became a living being. And Yahuwah Elohim planted a garden in Adon to the east, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground Yahuwah Elohim made every tree grow that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, with the tree of life in the midst of the garden.
With the tree of life in the midst of the garden. Read.
And the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And a river went out of Adon to water the garden. And from there it divided and became 4 heads. The name of the first is Pashun. It is the one surrounding the entire land of Kawalah, where there is gold. And the gold of that land is good. Baudalam is there, and the Shoham stone. And the name of the second river is Gakun. It is the one surrounding the entire land of Cush. And the name of the third river is Kadekal. It is the one which goes toward the east of Ashur. And the fourth river is the Euphrates. And Yahuwah Elohim took the man and put him in the garden of Adon to work it.
Listen.
And to guard it. And Yahuwah Elohim commanded the man, saying.
And Yahuwah Elohim commanded the man, saying. Listen here. He commanded the man, saying, his commands are kadush. His commands are perfect. His commands are separated. His commands separate us from darkness because his commands are light. His commands are clean. They are pure. They separate us from uncleanness. His commands are life. Yes, they are. If we do them, we shall live by them. His commands are life. Disobeying his commands is life. Disobeying his commands is death. This is no new concept. Be separated or die. Be separated or die. But hear him. You can't obey his commands. You can't obey his commands unless his commands are in you. Unless the separated Ruach is in you. Unless he has written his Torah upon your wicked heart. You cannot obey it. Unless he has entered into you. Unless this separated Ruach has entered you and separated you unto righteousness and separated you unto life. You cannot. You cannot. But this is no new concept. Obey his commands and live. Disobey them and die. Be separate or die. Be separate or die. If you're separated, if he has separated you with the seal of the living Elohim, you will live. You will live. But be warned. Be warned. Be warned just because you've been sealed. Just because you've received this Ruach, as we getting ready to read, doesn't mean you're going to enter into life. It doesn't mean you're going to enter into life. I think the book of Hebrews, read little one, I think it may be around chapter 10 or chapter 9, somewhere around there, where it declares that if we've received this Ruach, and we've tasted of the things of Shamayim, and we've seen the things to come, if we then turn away from the way, there is no more restoring us to repentance. There is no more restoring you to repentance. So don't think. Don't relax for 1 second, for 1 minute. Adam was not the breath of life breathed into him, little one? Was not the Ruach breathed into him? Yes, it was. The Ruach was breathed into him. Don't you dare slumber or sleep. Don't you dare. Those who have the separated Ruach, don't you dare slumber or sleep. Your life depends on it. Be separate or die. The destroyer comes. He's coming. Death coming. The destroyer comes, and he's coming to claim what is his. Come on, read, little one.
Eat of every tree of the garden.
You read?
But do not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
But do not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Be separate and live. Go obey my command to eat of every tree of the garden. But do not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Come on, read.
For in the day that you eat of it,
For in the day that you eat of it,
you shall certainly die.
you shall certainly die. This is no new concept. This is not a new concept. Understand the season. Understand the consummation of the times. Be separate or die. Obey every word that proceeds from the mouth of our master. Turn neither to the right or to the left. Your life depends on it. Be separate or die. And you're not separated until we've received the separated Ruach, the greater separation, the spirit, the Ruach of Yahushua HaMashiach. We're not separated until life, until we have received life, until we have eaten of his flesh and partaken of his blood and taken on life. You're not separated until life, until you've taken on life. Otherwise, the adversary still has a legal right to you. Legal right. A legal right to all flesh. He has a legal right to all flesh. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. And soon, very soon, very soon. Not when your kids grow up. Not when you see grandkids. Not when you're old and gray. Soon. In this season, the adversary, the devil, is coming to do what he does, to steal, kill, and destroy, and to take and to come and partake of what is his, the flesh. And if those days are not shortened, no flesh is going to remain. This is no new concept. Come on, read.
And Yahuwah Elohim said, it is not good for the man to be alone. I am going to make a helper for him as his counterpart. And from the ground Yahuwah Elohim formed every beast of the field and every bird of the heavens, and brought them to the man to see what he would call them. And whatever the man called each living being, that was its name. So the man gave names to all livestock, and to the birds of the heavens, and to every beast of the field. But for the man there was not found a helper for him as his counterpart. So Yahuwah Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall on the man, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh in its place. And the rib which Yahuwah Elohim had taken from the man he made into a woman. And he brought her to the man. And the man said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. This one is called woman, because she was taken out of man. For this cause a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, yet they were not ashamed.
Yet they were not ashamed. Nakedness is shameful. Nakedness is uncleanness. Nakedness is sin. It is crime. They had not yet committed crime. They had not yet transgressed the Torah. You see, it is the Torah that reveals nakedness. If we are operating in accordance with it, in accordance with not only the letter of the Torah, but the living Torah, the Ruach of the Torah, there is no reason to be ashamed. We can come to the Master in boldness. We can come boldly through the throne to the throne of favor during our time of need, that we may obtain compassion. We can enter in through the veil if we are separated unto him. If we are obeying him, there's no reason to be ashamed. Do you not know that all are naked before him? That I don't care how the amount of clothing you put on, that all are naked before him. All are naked before the Master. He sees all. There's not enough clothing that you can put on to hide yourselves. There's not enough fig leaves that you can put on to hide yourselves. He sees all. He sees all. But if you're separated unto him, you can stand boldly before him unashamed. Naked you are. Yes, you are. You're still naked. You're still naked. But if he's redeemed you, there's been a restoration. There's been a restoration. So now we can stand before him unashamed. Unashamed. And so here They had not yet committed sin. They had not yet transgressed the Torah. There had not yet been, their nakedness had not yet been revealed, because they were now at this point separated. And as newborn babes, they being naked, they had no shame. They were unashamed. They had not even the knowledge of being naked. Not even the knowledge of being shameful. Not even the knowledge of sin yet, because they had not yet transgressed the Torah. They were separated unto him. And they were unashamed. And they were unashamed. Genesis chapter 3. Bereshith chapter 3. Genesis chapter 3. Bereshith chapter 3. This is no new concept. Be separate or die. Be separate and live or die. Be separated via the separated spirit, the greater separation, Yahushua HaMashiach, the Ruach HaKadosh, the seal of the living Elohim, or die. Or die. Bereshith, Genesis chapter 3, beginning at verse 1. Read, little one.
And the Nakash was more crafty than all the lives of the field which Yahuwah Elohim had made.
You don't think he's crafty? He's the great deceiver who has deceived the whole world. They had the Ruach HaKadosh, the breath of life were breathed into them. They had the Ruach HaKadosh. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. But he was more crafty than all the lives of the field. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Read, little one.
And he said to the woman, is it true that Elohim has said, do not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said to the Nakash, we are to eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim has said, do not eat of it, nor touch it, lest you die. And the Nakash said to the woman, you shall certainly not die, for Elohim knows that in the day you eat of it, your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be like Elohim, knowing good and evil. And the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree desirable to make one wise. And she took of its fruit and ate. And she also gave to her husband with her, and he ate. Then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made loin coverings for themselves. And they heard the voice of Yahuwah Elohim walking about in the garden in the cool of day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahuwah Elohim among the trees of the garden. And Yahuwah Elohim called unto Adam and said to him, where are you? And he said, I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid myself. And he said, who made you know that you were naked? Have you eaten of the tree of which I commanded that you should not eat? And the man said, the woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I ate. And Yahuwah Elohim said to the woman, what is this you have done? And the woman said, the Nakash deceived me, and I ate. And Yahuwah Elohim said to the Nakash, because you have done this, you are cursed more than all livestock, and more than every beast of the field. On your belly you are to go, and eat dust all the days of your life. And I put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall crush your head, and you shall crush his heel. To the woman he said, I greatly increase your sorrow.
Here, I greatly increase your sorrow. Read.
And your conception. Bring forth children in pain.
Yes.
And your desires for your husband.
And your desires for your husband, woman. Read.
And he does rule over you.
And he does rule over you. Hear him. Hear him. You want to be part of that greater separation? You've got to obey him. You've got to obey. Be separate or die. Woman, now until the judgment has been completed, 7 days. 7 days is completion, 7,000 years. Until this judgment is completed, you must submit. You must submit. If you're one of those who will not submit, you're not part of the greater separation. You're part of. You're not on the side of life of the greater separation. You're rather on the side of death. Submit or die. Be separate or die. To submit to him is the master's command for you. You are to submit to him. This is the command until the completion of it. 7 days, 7,000 years. To do otherwise is to go against the judgment here. It's to go against the judgment that was pronounced over mankind because of the sin of mankind. Be separate or die. Be separate or die. Come on, read.
And to the man he said,
Read.
because you have listened to the voice of your wife, and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, saying, do not eat of it, cursed is the ground because of you. In toil you are to eat of it all the days of your life.
All the days of your life, till. Read.
And the ground shall bring forth thorns and thistles for you, and you shall eat the plants of the field.
Yes.
By the sweat of your face you are to eat bread,
Yes.
until you return to the ground.
Yes.
For out of it you are taken.
Yes.
For dust you are,
Yes.
and dust you return.
And thus you return. So now he said, the command was, eat of every tree of the garden, except do not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He could have partaken of the tree of life, but instead they partook of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. For the day that you partake of it is the day that you will die. Be separate or die. Obey me or die. Receive the separated Ruach, who gives you the ability to be separated unto life, because the spirit is life. Without breath, you are dead. Without breath in your body, you are dead, stinking thing. Without breath, without the seal of the living Elohim, the greater separation, the Ruach of separation, you were dead. You were dead. And so the day that they partook of that fruit, they died. Be separate or die. 930 years they lived. A day to Yahuwah is 1,000 years. The day that they partook of the fruit, he said, be separate unto me or die. That's what he said. For the day that you partake of this fruit, you're going to die. For the day that you disobey me, you're going to die, because the wages of sin is death, period. Wages of sin is death. You can die now to this flesh now and be raised to life in Ruach, or the adversary, the destroyer of flesh, is coming to destroy what is his real soon. And the master's going to use him as a golden cup in his hand to pour out his wrath upon the house of Ephraim, to destroy the flesh so that his soul will be saved. Soon, very soon, death cometh. Death cometh. This is no new concept. Be separate or die. Receive the greater separation. Receive the Ruach HaKadosh, the seal of the living Elohim, and obey him. Obey every word that proceeds from his mouth. Be kadosh, be separated in all your behavior, or die. This is the choice. This is not a new concept. Come on, read, little one.
And the man called his wife's name Kua, because she became the mother of all living.
Come on.
And Yahuwah Elohim made coats of skin for the man and his wife, and dressed them. And Yahuwah Elohim said, see, the man has become like one of us,
read,
to know good and evil.
Read.
And now lest he put out his hand and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever.
He dead now. Death is on his head. Come on, read.
So Yahuwah Elohim sent him out of the garden of Adam to till the ground from which he was taken. And he drove the man out.
And he drove the man out. Read.
And he placed cherubims at the east of the garden of Adam, and a flaming sword which turned every way to guard the way to the tree of life.
Barak Yahuwah. So now, because you chose not to be separated unto life, he is now separated unto death. He is separated now from the very presence of Yahuwah in the garden. And he is now separated unto death. Had he remained separated unto life and just obeyed him, he would have lived. But because he disobeyed, he was separated unto death. Be separate or die. This is no new concept. Be separated unto him, unto life, via the separated spirit, or be separated unto death. He's coming. Death is coming. He's coming to gather what is his, to steal, to kill, and destroy very soon. This is not a new concept. Hear him. Be separate or die. Be separate or die. Be separated unto righteousness. Be separated unto the Torah. Be separated by the ruach of separation, the greatest separation, having the seal of redemption, the seal of the living Elohim upon your forehead, or die. This is the choice in this season. They died that day. Yes, they did. They died. They didn't physically die, but they died. They didn't physically die at that very moment, but they died that day. Again, a day that Yahuwah is 1,000 years. They lived to be 930 years old. And the only reason they didn't die that day is because of the compassion of Yahuwah. When he slew an animal in their stead, when he split animals in their stead, making a circumcision, covering their nakedness, covering their shame, forgiving their sins. Forgiving their sins, but not forgiving their sins unto life. A greater atoning offering had to come to free them from death. And that greater atoning offering is the spirit of separation, is the Ruach HaKadosh, is Yahushua HaMashiach. That at the appointed time he came and delivered them from death, and delivered all of their seed from death, for as many as Yahuwah our Elohim shall call. Be separate or die. This is no new concept. Be separate or die. As long as they kept the Torah and they obeyed him, and Ruach and in truth, and walked in the Ruach, the very breath of life that he had given them, they lived, and they were naked, and they were unashamed, because their shame had not been revealed. They had did nothing shameful. They had did nothing to reveal nakedness, to reveal crime. They had done nothing. There was an innocence. And they were not ashamed to stand before the master naked. How about you? How about you? Some will not even approach him and pray because they're ashamed. But you come amongst us trying to hide like all is together. Like you have it all together. You come amongst us trying to hide as though you have a separated spirit. But one who truly has a separated spirit knows one who does not. Yahuwah sees you. He sees you. And his words continue to be proclaimed. Be separate or die. I don't care how much Torah you think that you're keeping. You cannot keep the Torah if the separated Ruach, if the spirit of separation, if the greater separation is not in you. You cannot. You cannot do so. You cannot do so. You cannot defeat your flesh. The flesh is 6,001. The only one to ever defeat it was Yahushua HaMashiach. And with him and us in him, we too can defeat the flesh. We too can overcome Hasatan. We too can be a part of the greater separation and be separated until life. Be separate or die. This is no new concept. It's been this way since the beginning. Be separate or die. They were separated from Yahuwah when they were caused to leave the garden. That was death, because to be separate from him is death. This is what the Torah, this is shown to us in the Torah. When one touches a dead thing or touches a dead body, he is to be removed from outside of the camp and placed outside of the camp for how long? Until the completion. 7 days. 7 days. And that is symbolic of death, because Yahuwah dwelled in the midst of the people in the camp. And to be separated from him is death. To be cut off from his people, from his presence, from his breath is death. Be separate or die. The destroyer comes quickly to claim what is his. Give us another precept, little one.
Jasher chapter 5.
Jasher chapter 5. Yashar chapter 5. This is no new concept. Be separate or die. Be separate or die. The destroyer comes. The destroyer comes to claim what is his. Jasher chapter 5. Jasher chapter 5. Jasher chapter 5. Beginning at verse 1. Read, little one.
And it was in the 84th year of the life of Noach that Anush, the son of Shaph, died. He was 905 years old at his death. And in the 179th year of the life of Noach, Canaan, the son of Enush, died. And all the days of Canaan were 900 years, and he died. And in the 234th year of the life of Noach, Mahalalel, the son of Canaan, died. And the days of Mahalalel were 895 years, and he died. And Yerad, the son of Mahalalel, died in those days, in the 336th year of the life of Noach. And all the days of Yerad were 962 years, and he died. And all who followed Yahuwah died in those days, before they saw the evil which Elohim declared to do upon the earth. And after the lapse of many years, in the 480th year of the life of Noach, when all those men who followed Yahuwah had died away from amongst the sons of men, and only Methuselah was left, Elohim said unto Noach and Methuselah, saying, Speak ye and proclaim to the sons of men, saying, Thus says Yahuwah, return from your evil ways.
Return, repent from your evil ways. Be separate or die. Teshuvah, return. Turn from your evil ways. Turn to be separated by his separated spirit unto righteousness, unto truth, unto uncleanness, or die. This is no new concept. Be separate or die. The destroyer, destruction, the destroyer of flesh, he does come. Read.
And forsake your works. And Yahuwah will repent of the evil that he declared to do to you, so that it shall not come to pass. For thus says Yahuwah, Behold, I give you a period of 120 years. If you turn to me and forsake your evil ways, then will I also turn away from the evil which I told you, and it shall not exist, says Yahuwah. And Noach and Methuselah spoke all the words of Yahuwah to the sons of men, day after day.
And Noach and Methuselah proclaimed and spoke all the words of Yahuwah to the sons of men. I come from a long line of proclaimers, speaking the same message, the very same message as my righteous fathers. Repent, teshuvah, be separate or die. This is no new message. This is no new concept. Be separate or die. The only difference is this now is the consummation of the times. Hear him. This is the consummation of the times when death is getting ready to manifest and come to this earth and kill and steal and destroy and take what is his. He's coming to gather his portion. Be separate or die. Repent, teshuvah, receive the separated ruach, the greater separation. Go to the threshing floor. Be separated with the wheat until it's born. Have the chaff separated from you. Be separate or die. This is no new message. This is no new concept. Be separate or die. Read, little one.
Constantly speaking to them. But the sons of men would not hearken to them, nor incline their ears to their words.
As many of you still won't. Incline your ears to his words. Read, little one.
And they were stiff-necked. And Yahuwah granted them a period of 120 years, saying,
You don't have 120 years. You do not have 120 years. You do not have 120 years. Be separate or die. The destroyer comes. Read, little one.
If they will return, then will Elohim repent of the evil, so as not to destroy the earth. Noach, the son of Lamech, refrained from taking a woman in those days to beget children. For he said, Surely now Elohim will destroy the earth. Wherefore then shall I beget children? And Noach was a just man. He was perfect in his generation.
He was perfect in his generation. He was separated. Read.
And Yahuwah chose him to raise up seed from his seed upon the face of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And Yahuwah said unto Noach, Take unto you a woman and beget children.
Mm-hmm.
For I have seen you righteous before me in this generation.
Mm-hmm.
And you shall raise up seed and your children with you.
He's righteous and separated unto life. He's separated now unto life. Not even righteous Methuselah lived, because no man lived to be a day. Because on the day that man was created, 1,000 years is a day, he committed crime. And Adam lived to be 930 years old. Methuselah, the oldest man to ever live, did not even live to see a day. 969 years old. We will not see a day, one complete day until the Mashiach returns and we reign with him for 1,000 years, provided that you are reigning with him for 1,000 years, provided that you have been separated. Provided that you have been separated. One way or another, you're going to be separated. You're going to either be separated unto life now, or you're going to be separated unto death when Hasatan, when death assumes flesh, and Yahuwah willing, your soul will be saved, and you'll be resurrected either in the first or second resurrection. But it is appointed upon man once to die, and then the judgment. Die now, die later, but you're going to die. You're going to die. You can choose to be a part of the greatest separation, to cry to him with everything you have, and pray that you count it worthy to escape the hour of trial, to be a part of the greater separation. I'll be left in the valley of Ono when death assumes flesh and comes to this earth to gather what is his. Be separate or die. This is not a new concept. Come on, read, little one.
In the midst of the earth. And Noach went and took a woman, and he chose Naamah, the daughter of Canuk, and she was 580 years old. And Noach was 498 years old when he took Naamah for a woman. And Naamah conceived and bore a son. And Noach called his name Shem, saying, Elohim has made me a remnant, to raise up seed in the midst of the earth.
Elohim has made me a remnant, to raise up seed in the midst of the earth. 144,000 of the 12 tribes of Yashar'al, of the descendants of Shem or Sham, are going to Mount Zion. 144,000 worldwide. 144,000 worldwide. Be separate or die. Only a remnant is going to see life. Only a remnant is going to escape death in this season. It has always been this way. This too is no new concept. This too is no new thing. Be separate or die. Be righteous. Be perfect or die. Receive the greater separation, the Ruach HaKadosh, the seal of the living Elohim, the Ruach of Yahushua HaMashiach, and live separated. Be separated. Do righteousness or die. Or die. Read, little one.
And she conceived again and bore a son, and he called his name Japheth, saying, Elohim has enlarged me in the earth. And Noach was 502 years old when Naamah bore Cam. And the boys grew up and went in the ways of Yahuwah, in all that Methuselah and Noach their father taught them. And Lamech, the father of Noach, died in those days. Yet truly he did not go with all his heart in the ways of his father. And he died in the 195th year of the life of Noach. And all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. And all the sons of men who knew Yahuwah died in that year, before Yahuwah brought evil upon them. For Yahuwah willed them to die, so as not to behold the evil that Elohim will bring upon their brothers and relatives, as he so declared to do. In that time Yahuwah said to Noach and Methuselah, stand forth and proclaim to the sons of men all the words that I spoke to you in those days. Perchance they may turn from their evil ways, and I will then repent of the evil and will not bring it.
Be separate or die. The destroyer, destruction comes. Read, little one.
And Noach and Methuselah stood forth and said in the ears of the sons of men all that Elohim had spoken concerning them. But the sons of men would not hearken, neither would they incline their ears to all their declarations. 7+
billion people on the other side of the greater separation who will not listen. 144,000 worldwide. Be separate or die. The destroyer, he does come. Read, little one.
And it was after this that Yahuwah said to Noach, the end of all flesh is come before me.
Hear him?
on account of their evil deeds. And behold, I will destroy the earth. And do you take unto you gopher wood, and go to a certain place, and make a large ark, and place it in that spot. And thus shall you make it, 300 cubits its length, 50 cubits broad, and 30 cubits high. And you shall make unto you a door open at its side, and to a cubit you shall finish above, and cover it within and without with pitch. And behold, I will bring the flood of waters upon the earth, and all flesh be destroyed. From under the heavens all that is upon earth shall perish. And you and your household shall go and gather 2 couple of all living things, male and female, and shall bring them to the ark to raise up seed from them upon earth. And gather unto you all food that is eaten by all the animals, that there may be food for you and for them. And you shall choose for your sons 3 maidens from the daughters of men, and they shall be women to your sons. And Noach rose up, and he made the ark in the place where Elohim had commanded him. And Noach did as Elohim had ordered him. In his 595th year, Noach commenced to make the ark, and he made the ark in 5 years, as Yahuwah had commanded. Then Noach took the 3 daughters of Elakam, son of Methuselah, for women for his sons, as Yahuwah had commanded Noach. And it was at that time Methuselah, the son of Canuk, died. 960 years old was he at his death.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. So now we have only Noach and his sons and their wives. 8 righteous beings. 8 separated beings amongst all the wickedness in the earth. Still proclaiming to the wicked. Still proclaiming to the unrighteous. Be separate or die. Destruction is coming. Destruction is coming. And we have seen, as the Master has proclaimed in previous messages, that the ark has been seen. The ark has been seen. It has been seen. It is coming. It is on its way, just as death cometh. Just as death is coming to this earth. Death and destruction and mayhem, chaos and darkness is coming to this earth. Be separated. Repent, Teshuvah, receive the spirit of separation, the greater separation, the Ruach HaKadosh. Do righteousness or die. This is no new concept. This is not a new message. Be separate or die. Be separate or die. Yashar chapter 6, beginning at verse 1. Go ahead, read, little one.
At that time, after the death of Methuselah, Yahuwah said to Noach, Go you with your household into the ark. Behold, I will gather to you all the animals of the earth, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the air, and they shall all come and surround the ark. And you shall go and seat yourself by the doors of the ark, and all the beasts, the animals, and the fowls shall assemble and place themselves before you. And such of them as shall come and crouch before you, shall you take and deliver into the hands of your sons, who shall bring them to the ark, and all that will stand before you, you shall leave. And Yahuwah brought this about on the next day, and animals, beasts, and fowls came in great multitudes and surrounded the ark. And Noach went and seated himself by the door of the ark, and of all flesh that crouched before him he brought into the ark. And all that stood before him he left upon the earth. And a lioness came with her 2 whelps, male and female. And the 3 crouched before Noach. And the 2 whelps rose up against the lioness and smote her, and made her flee from her place. And she went away, and they returned to their places, and crouched upon the earth before Noach. And the lioness ran away and stood in the place of the lions.
Be separate or die. He said 2 by 2. He made no exceptions. His word is eternal. His word is eternal. Be separate or die. 2. Take 2 of each, male and female, of the clean animals and of the unclean. 2 of each. 2 of each. Not 3. Be separate or die. Read, little one.
And Noach saw this and wondered greatly. And he rose and took the 2 whelps and brought them into the ark. And Noah brought into the ark from all living creatures that were upon the earth, so that there were none left but which Noah brought into the ark. 2 and 2 came to Noah into the ark. But from the clean animals and clean fowls he brought 7 couples, as Elohim had commanded him. And all the animals and beasts and fowls were still there. And they surrounded the ark at every place. And the rain had not descended till 7 days after. And on that day Yahuwah caused the whole earth to shake, and the sun darkened, and the foundations of the world raged, and the whole earth was moved violently. And the lightning flashed, and the thunder roared, and all the fountains in the earth were broken up, such as was not known to the inhabitants before. And Elohim did this mighty act in order to terrify the sons of men.
There are things going on in this world that you've never seen before in your generation. There are things happening that we've never seen before in our generation. The Master is trying to get the attention of his people. Trying to get the attention of his people to be separated unto him, to be separate or die. We don't have any more time. There's a sealing going on right here at this ark. There's a sealing going on. There's 8 righteous beings. There's 8 separated beings here that was sealed, and an untold number of animals here that was sealed as well. This is no new concept. Be separated. The Master, did he not say to separate unto you these animals? Was that not his words, to separate them? To separate a specific number, 2 of each, and 7 pairs of clean ones, to separate them unto you, unto life, unto the ark. This is no new concept. There's a sealing going on now. There's a greater separation going on now. He is sealing his chosen ones across the 4 corners of this earth, sealing us with the seal of the living Elohim. Be separated, or die. Only a remnant are going to be sealed. Why can you not get the concept? 144,000 worldwide. Out of 7+ billion people. Out of 7+ billion people. 144,000 worldwide. Be separate or die. Receive the separated spirit, the ruach of separation, the seal of the living Elohim, the seal of redemption, and do righteousness. Be perfect or die. Or die. Read, little one.
That there might be no more evil upon the earth, and still the sons of men would not return from their evil ways. And they increased the anger of Yahuwah at that time, and did not even direct their hearts to all this. And at the end of 7 days, in the 600th year of the life of Noah, the waters of the flood were upon the earth, and all the fountains of the deep were broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened, and the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. And Noah and his household, and all the living creatures that were with him, came into the ark on account of the waters of the flood, and Yahuwah shut him in.
And Yahuwah shut him in. Yahuwah sealed him up. He sealed him up. He preserved him. He kept him safe. He kept him alive. He kept him alive from the floodwaters, from the destruction that was coming upon the earth. This is what it means to be sealed from death, to be sealed from destruction, to be sealed from the proverbial floodwaters that are coming. 144,000 who have been separated unto life, who have chosen life rather than death, who has chosen obedience rather than disobedience, having received the Torah written upon the heart, receiving the seal of redemption just in the nick of time. 144,000 sealed from destruction, sealed from the destroyer, kept safe, preserved from the hour of trial that is soon to come upon the earth. Nothing new under the sun. It's always about a remnant. Always about a remnant. And this is no new concept about being separate. This is not a new concept. Noah and his whole family was separate. They were separated, and thus they lived. Thus they lived. Be separate or die. The destroyer comes. Read, little one.
And all the sons of men that were left upon the earth became exhausted through evil on account of the rain. For the waters were coming more violently upon the earth, and the animals and beasts were still surrounding the ark. And the sons of men assembled together, about 700,000 men and women, and they came unto Noach to the ark. And they called to Noach, saying, Open for us, that we may come to you in the ark. And wherefore shall we die? And Noach with a loud voice answered them from the ark, saying, Have you not all rebelled against Yahuwah, and said that he does not exist? And therefore Yahuwah brought upon you this evil, to destroy and cut you off from the face of the earth. Is not this the thing that I spoke to you of 120 years back, and you would not hearken to the voice of Yahuwah? And now do you desire to live upon earth? And they said to Noach, We are ready to return to Yahuwah. Only open for us, that we may live and not die. And Noach answered them, saying, Behold, now that you see the trouble of your souls, you wish to return to Yahuwah. Why did you not return during these 120 years?
The word of the master tells us in the book of Amos that they're going to search from sea to sea for him, for the word, and they're going to search from one end of the earth to the other for the word of Yahuwah. They're going to search for him, but he will not be found by them. He will not be found. You would not listen to his voice during the hour of visitation. You would not listen to him. You would not listen to him. So when this death, when destruction, when Hasatan puts on flesh and death comes to this earth, you're going to look for him, you're going to search, but he will not be found by you. He will not be found. Be separate or die. The destroyer comes. Come on, read.
Which Yahuwah granted you as the determined period. But now you come and tell me this on account of the troubles of your soul. Now also Yahuwah will not listen to you.
He won't listen. He's going to remove himself. He's going to remove his breath. He's going to turn off the water, and he is not going to listen. He will not listen until the appointed time has come when the Mashiach cracks the sky again. He will not listen. He will not listen because you will not listen now. Read, little one.
Neither will he give ear to you on this day, so that you will not now succeed in your wishes. And the sons of men approached in order to break into the ark, to come in on account of the rain, for they could not bear the rain upon them. And Yahuwah sent all the beasts and animals that stood round the ark, and the beasts overpowered them and drove them from that place. And every man went his way, and they again scattered themselves upon the face of the earth. And the rain was still descending upon the earth, and it descended 40 days and 40 nights. And the waters prevailed greatly upon the earth. And all the flesh that was upon the earth or in the waters died, whether men, animals, beasts, creeping things, or birds of the air. And there only remained Noach and those that were with him in the ark.
Barak Yahuwah, you can stop there. Be separate or die. This is no new concept. We saw it from the very beginning with Adam and Korah. Be separate or die. This is the blueprint. Be separate or die. And in this season, receive the greater separation, Yahushua HaMashiach, the Ruach of separation, the Ruach HaKadosh, or die. Or die. Be separate. Be separated. It is Yahuwah who separates. Be separate. Do righteousness. Turn from wickedness. Do righteousness or die. Or die. We see here that there was a great separation done here. There was 700,000. I thought it read 800,000, but there was 700 plus thousand people on the earth at that time. And only 8 righteous beings, only 8 separated ones were separated unto life. This is a greater separation because now we're talking about 7+ billion people. 7+ billion people, and only 144,000 from all the earth are going to be shielded and sealed and preserved, protected from destruction, from death, from the hour of trial that is soon to come upon the earth. Be separate or die. The destroyer comes. This is not a new concept. We have the blueprint. This is not a new concept. If you hear his words today, harden not your heart. This is not a new concept. The hour of trial cometh, death cometh. Be a part of the greater separation. Don't assume that you are separated. Don't assume that you have the spirit of separation, the greater separation, Yahushua HaMashiach. Do not assume so. 144,000 worldwide. Worldwide. Don't assume that you have been separated. Be separate or die. The destroyer comes. Do righteousness. Turn from evil. Turn from wickedness. Repent. Do righteousness. And live. And live. Give us another precept, little one.
Genesis 18.
Genesis, Bereshit, chapter 18. Line upon line. Precept upon precept. Just to give you a foundation. This is not a new concept. It's always been this way. Be separate or die. The thing is, the ones separated have always only been a remnant. There's always only been a remnant to be separated unto life. Hear him. There's never been multitudes separated unto life. Hear him. Hear him. Yes, there's going to be a great multitude coming out of the great distress, but they're going to be resurrected from death. Noah lived. His family lived. Make no mistake. Methuselah is going to live. Methuselah, in fact, he does live. He does live. Canuk lives. And all of those righteous ones, they live. They live, but they died. But they live. Only Noah and his family escaped destruction, escaped death. Only a remnant. Only a remnant is going to escape the hour of trial. Be separate or die. This is not a new concept. Genesis, Bereshit, chapter 18. Genesis, Bereshit, chapter 18. Beginning at verse 1. Genesis, Bereshit, chapter 18. Beginning at verse 1. Read for us, little one.
And Yahuwah appeared to him by the terebinth tree of Mamre.
Him is Abraham. Abraham, he appeared to him by the terebinth tree. Read.
While he was sitting in the tent door in the heat of the day.
This is after he had been separated. After there had been a separation, a circumcision. After he had entered into covenant with him. After he had entered into covenant with him. After Yahuwah himself had separated Abraham unto himself. He then came here to visit him. Read.
So he lifted his eyes and looked and saw 3 men standing opposite him. And when he saw them, he ran from the tent door to meet them and bowed himself to the ground and said, Yahuwah, if I have now found favor in your eyes, please do not pass your servant by. Please let a little water be brought and wash your feet.
He knew this was Yahuwah. He said, please let a little water be brought to wash your feet. Come on.
And rest yourselves under the tree. And let me bring a piece of bread and refresh your hearts. And then go on, for this is why you have come to your servant. And they said, do as you have said. So Abraham ran into the tent to Sarah and said, hurry, make ready 3 measures of fine flour, knead it and make cakes. And Abraham ran to the herd, took a tender and good calf.
Wait. He did what? He ran to the herd.
Yes, sir.
He ran to the herd and took something tender.
Yes.
What, this is Yahuwah though, right? Yahuwah ate meat? Wait a minute, little one. Yahuwah ate meat? You know this foolishness that's going around. He went and took something tender to slay for Yahuwah. Yahuwah in flesh. Yahushua HaMashiach. They are Akkad. They are one. Come on, read.
Give it to a young man, and he hurried to prepare it. And he took curds and milk and the calf which he had prepared and set it before them. And he stood by them under the tree as they ate.
As they did what?
As they ate.
They ate meat, little one. These messengers, these are 2 messengers, and Yahuwah with them in flesh, they ate meat. Stop the foolishness. Forever learning, but never coming to the knowledge of the truth. Flee from these men with this foolish talking, with this false teaching. Yahuwah himself sitting here with his son Abraham, with his covenant son, ate meat with him. Stop the foolishness. Be separated or die. If it's not in the Torah, shut up. all things according to the Torah. Be separate or die. The destroyer comes. Come on, read, little one.
And they said to him, where is Sarah your wife? And he said, see, in the tent. And he said, I shall certainly return to you according to the time of life. And see, Sarah your wife is to have a son. And Sarah was listening in the tent door which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, well advanced in age, and Sarah was past the way of women. And Sarah laughed within herself, saying, after I have grown old shall I have pleasure, my master being old too. And Yahuwah said to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh, saying, shall I truly have a child since I am old? Is any matter too hard for Yahuwah? At the appointed time I am going to return to you according to the time of life, and Sarah is to have a son. But Sarah denied it, saying, I did not laugh, for she was afraid, and had said, no, but you did laugh. And the men rose up from there and looked toward Sodom, and Abraham went with them to send them away. And Yahuwah said, shall I hide from Abraham what I am doing? Since Abraham is certainly going to become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I have known him, so that he commands his children and his household after him to guard the way of Yahuwah, to do righteousness and right ruling.
Barak Yahuwah, separated unto him, separated unto truth, separated unto righteousness. He was a separated one. He had received the circumcision, the separation. Not just the one in the flesh, but he had received a separation not made with hands, given by the Ruach HaKodesh. It is Yahuwah who separates us. Come on, read.
So that Yahuwah brings to Abraham what he has spoken to him. And Yahuwah said, because the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is great.
It is great.
And because their sin is very heavy.
It's because their sin is very heavy. Be separate or die. Come on, read.
I am going down now to see whether they have done altogether according to the outcry against it that has come to me. And if not, I know. So the men turned away from there and went toward Sodom, but Yahuwah still stood before Abraham. And Abraham drew near and said, would you also destroy the righteous with the wrong? Suppose there are 50 righteous within the city.
Would you also destroy the separated ones with the wrong? The answer is no. We've seen the precedents. The answer is no. 144,000 worldwide is going to escape the time of death that is coming upon the earth. There's always a remnant. Always a remnant of separated ones. Will you destroy the separated ones with the unrighteous ones? The answer is no. Come on, read.
Would you also destroy the place and not spare it for the 50 righteous that were in it? Far be it from you to act in this way, to slay the righteous with the wrong, so that the righteous should be as the wrong. Far be it from you. Does the judge of all earth not do right? And Yahuwah said, if I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I shall spare all the place for their sakes. And Abraham answered and said, look, please, I who am but dust and ashes, have taken it upon myself to speak to Yahuwah. Suppose there are 5 less than the 50 righteous. Would you destroy all of the city for lack of 5? And he said, if I find there 45, I do not destroy it. And he spoke to him yet again and said, suppose there are found 40. And he said, I would not do it for the sake of 40. And he said, let not Yahuwah be displeased, and let me speak. Suppose there are found 30. And he said, I would not do it if I find 30 there. And he said, look, please, I have taken it upon myself to speak to Yahuwah. Suppose there are found 20. And he said, I would not destroy it for the sake of 20. And he said, let not Yahuwah be displeased, and let me speak only this time. Suppose there are found 10. And he said, I would not destroy it for the sake of 10. Then Yahuwah went away as soon as he ended speaking to Abraham. And Abraham returned to his place.
Barak Yahuwah, for the sake of 10 righteous ones, he would not have destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. The earth now, these cities, these places are set forth as an example for future generations to come. Egypt, it's been set forth as an example to future generations to come. Babylon, as an example for future generations to come. Sodom and Amorah as an example, as a shadow for future generations to come. The earth is now as Sodom and Amorah. The earth is Babylon. The earth is Egypt. The earth is as wicked as Sodom and Amorah, is as wicked as Babylon, is as wicked as Egypt. And the master is going to and fro, sending his messengers. That's in the text. Sending his messengers to gather those, to seal them with the seal of the living Elohim upon their forehead, to keep them from destruction, to keep them from the destroyer, to keep them from the hour of trial that is soon to come upon this earth. This is not a new concept. Be separate or die. Be separate or die. Read, little one. Genesis now chapter 19. Bereshith chapter 19.
And the two messengers came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. And when Lot saw them, he rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said, "Look, please, my masters, please turn in to your servant's house, and spend the night and wash your feet, and rise early and go your way." And they said, "No, but let us spend the night in the open square." But he urged them strongly. And they turned into him and came into his house. And he made them a feast and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. Before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both old and young, all the people from every part surrounded the house. And they called to Lot and said to him, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us, and let us know them." So Lot went out to them through the doorway and shut the door behind him and said, "Please, my brothers, do not do evil. Look, please, I have 2 daughters who have not known a man. Please let me bring them out to you and do to them as you wish. Only do no deed to these men, because they have come under the shadow of my roof." But they said, "Stand back." And they said, "This one came in to sojourn, and should he always judge? Now we are going to treat you worse than them." So they pressed hard against the man Lot and came near to break down the door. But the men reached out their hands and pulled Lot into the house with them and shut the door. Then they struck the men who were at the doorway of the house with blindness, both small and great, and they wearied themselves to find the door. And the men said to Lot, "Have you anyone else here, a son-in-law, and your sons and your daughters, and whomever you have in this place? Bring them out of this place. For we are going to destroy this place, because the cry against them has grown great before the face of Yahuwah."
He came to seal them. These messengers came to seal them, to preserve them, protect them, to keep them from a destruction that was coming upon that wicked city. This is no new concept. Be separate or die. If you're separate, you will live. If you're separated unto life via the separated spirit, via the greater separation in this season, you will live. Otherwise, most are going to die in the Sodom and Amorah, with the rest of the wicked. You're going to die. And the adversary is going to have a legal right to come and to destroy the flesh. And Yahuwah is going to allow it in order to preserve and to save the soul. Come on, read.
"And Yahuwah has sent us to destroy it. And Lot went out and spoke to his son-in-law who had married his daughters, and said, 'Get up, get out of this place, for Yahuwah is going to destroy the city.' But to his sons-in-law he seemed to be as one joking. And when morning dawned, the messengers urged Lot to hurry, saying, 'Get up, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, lest you be consumed in the punishment of the city.' And while he loitered, the men took hold of his hand, and his wife's hand, and the hand of his 2 daughters, Yahuwah having compassion on him. And they brought him out and set him outside the city. And it came to be, when they had brought them outside, that he said, 'Escape for your life. Do not look behind you, nor stay anywhere in the plain. Escape to the mountains, lest you be consumed.' And Lot said to them, 'Oh no, Yahuwah, look, please. Your servant has found favor in your eyes, and you have increased your loving commitment, which you have shown me by saving my life. But I am unable to escape to the mountains, lest calamity overtake me and I die. Look, please, this city is near enough to flee to, and it is small. Please let me escape there. Is it not a small matter, and let my life be saved?' And he said to him, Look, I have favored you concerning this matter also, without overthrowing the city for which you have spoken. Hurry, escape there, for I am not able to do any deed until you arrive there. So the name of that city was called Zur. The sun had risen upon the earth when Lot entered Zur. And Yahuwah rained sulfur and fire on Sodom and Amorah from Yahuwah out of the heavens. So he overthrew those cities and all the plains and all the inhabitants of the cities and what grew on the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a post of salt.
You can stop there. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. No different. Nothing new under the sun. As messengers came into this wicked place and sealed the righteous, and sealed them and preserved them and protected them and removed them from the city. And they had to be removed before destruction came. Just as the master's chosen. Just as his chosen, those who are separated unto life, those who are sealed and preserved and protected will be removed before destruction comes. Before true destructions begins. Before death, mayhem, chaos, destruction begins. Yes, they will. Yes, we will. His people will be removed. Always a remnant. Always a remnant to be preserved. Never a multitude. Always a remnant. Always a remnant of separated ones. Those who are separated via the spirit of separation, as righteous Lot was. Only a remnant are going to be sealed. This is nothing new. This is no new concept. Be separate or die. All of those who were not separate in Sodom and Amorah, they died. All who were not separated, they died. Even Lot's wife, who turned around despite the command. Hear him. Don't turn around. Despite the command, she turned around. She was sealed. She was delivered, but she turned around. And she died with the inhabitants of that wicked place. Be separate. Be separate or die. Receive the ruach of separation. Go to the threshing floor. Receive the ruach of separation. Be separated unto life. Be separated from death. 144,000 worldwide. Be separate or die. Destruction. The destroyer comes. Hear his words. Hear the master's words. Death cometh. Destruction cometh. Death cometh. Be separate or die. Be separate or die. Give us another precept, little one.
Jeremiah 40.
Jeremiah 40. We're going to go ahead and get through this now. Write this down. You don't have to turn if you don't want to, but we're going now to YAHUAH'S, Jeremiah chapter 40. Jeremiah chapter 40. Line upon line, precept upon precept. Here a little, there a little. Be separate or die. The destroyer comes. If you're not separate or separated via the ruach of separation, via the greater separation, you're going to die. This is not a new concept. We see this over and over again throughout the scriptures. This is not a new concept, but this is the consummation of time, and more are going to die in the history of this world. If these days are not short, no flesh is going to remain. It is a greater separation because we're talking about 144,000 being redeemed, being separated unto life, and being separated from death, whereas 7+ billion are going to remain when death puts on flesh and comes to this earth. Jeremiah, YAHUAH'S chapter 40, beginning at verse 1. Read, little one.
The word that came to Yirmiyahu from Yahuwah after Nabal-Zaradan, chief of the guard, had let him go from Ramah.
Had let him go. Read.
When he had taken him bound in chains among all the exiles from Jerusalem and Yehuda, who were being exiled to Babal. And the chief of the guard took Yirmiyahu and said to him, Yahuwah your Elohim has spoken this evil on this place, and Yahuwah has brought it on and has done as he has said, because you have sinned against Yahuwah and did not obey his voice.
Because you have sinned against Yahuwah and have not obeyed his voice. You refuse to be separated, as this righteous messenger proclaimed since the time he was a boy. Repent, be separated, and live, Yahudah. Hear him. Repent, be separated, receive the greater separation, receive the Ruach HaKadosh, Receive the ruach of separation. Be separated. Do righteousness. Do righteousness and live. And live. He proclaimed since the time that he was a boy. And great calamity came upon Yehuda. There was bodies cast out in the streets, piled on top of each other as dung. Women ate their own young because of famine. There was unprecedented famine and drought and hunger and death that came upon the land of Yehuda because they refused to be separated. This is no new concept. Be separated or die. But we find this righteous servant here, Yahu. We find him now with the chief of the guards. He took him out, but now he's loosening his chains because true to his word, be separate or die. If you're separated unto me, you will live. Whereas others, again, were cast out in the street as dung. And some were taken away captive to die or to live in Babylon. This righteous one, this separated one, he lived. It's always just a remnant. That's always just a remnant. In this season, 144,000 worldwide, 144,000 separated ones having the seal of the living Elohim upon their foreheads. Read, little one.
Therefore this matter has come upon you. And now see, I loosen you today from the chains that were on your hands. See now,
Yahu, I loosen you today from the chains that were on your hands. Read.
If it seems good to you to come with me to Babal, come, and I shall look after you. But if it seems wrong for you to come with me to Babal, remain here. See, all the land is before you. Go wherever it seems good and right for you to go. And before he replied, Nebuzaradan said, or go back to Gedaliah, son of Akam, son of Shaphan, whom the sovereign of Babal has made governor over the cities of Yehuda, and dwell with him among the people, or go wherever it seems right for you to go. And the chief of the guard gave him provisions and a gift and let him go.
Barak Yahuwah. You can stop there. This one righteous man, this separated one in a long line of proclaimers. I told you, I come from a long line of proclaimers. Proclaiming the same message. Repent. Teshuvah. Be separated. Nuach and Methuselah. From a long line of proclaimers. He no different, proclaiming a message of repentance. From the time that he was a young child, he was a young boy, to the house of Yehuda. But they hardened their hearts. They shut up their ears. They would not see. They would not listen to the warnings. And many died by the sword. Many were purified and purged by the sword and cast out into the streets of dung. Their flesh was destroyed so that perhaps their souls would be saved. And a remnant of few were taken into captivity. But this righteous one, this separated one, because he was separated unto righteousness, because he was separated unto truth via the separated spirit. I pray you understand that he had the Ruach HaKadosh. He had the Ruach of separation. He had Yahushua HaMashiach in him. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And he obeyed the master. He spoke his words. He proclaimed his words. And he escaped death. He not only escaped death, but he escaped captivity. And he lived. Be separate or die. The destroyer comes. It doesn't matter what form he takes on, whether or not he's Nebuchadnezzar, whether or not he is Antiochus Epiphanes, that Greek sovereign, or whether or not he's Nero, or Pharaoh, or whether or not he is that Roman general. His name escapes me, that came and destroyed Jerusalem and destroyed the High Eagle in 70 A.D. Whomever it is. Whomever he uses as a golden cup in his hand to pour out his wrath, it does not matter. That wrath is poured upon those who have not separated themselves unto him, who have not been separated unto him via his separated spirit, via the greater separation, the Ruach HaKadosh, the Ruach of Yahushua HaMashiach. And he sends wrath to destroy the flesh. This is Torah. This is Torah. Yes, it is. We read this on this Shabbat. He sends wrath, judgment, to destroy the flesh so that the soul of man can live. He cares nothing about the flesh. He's not flesh. He is Ruach. And he would rather destroy the flesh of the wicked so that the soul can live. But he desires to preserve and to keep and to protect 144,000 separated ones of the house of Yahudah in this season, and to bring us to his Kadosh mountain, Mount Zion, to give us a song that no one else can sing, and to bring us back into our land, because indeed the tents of Yahudah will be saved first, so that the comeliness of Dawood will not be diminished. Be separate or die. The destroyer comes. This is not a new concept. This is not something new. Hear him. But this is a greater separation, where 144,000 are being separated from 7+ billion people. Separated unto life and separated from death. Give us another precept, little one.
Revelation 7, 1 through 4.
Revelation 7, verses 1 through 4. Write this down. Revelation 7, verses 1 through 4. Kazum, chapter 7, verses 1 through 4. Beginning at verse 1. Read, little one.
And after this I saw 4 messengers standing at the 4 corners of the earth.
Messengers. Send, read.
Holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another messenger coming up from the rising of the sun, holding the seal of the living Elohim.
Holding the seal of the living Elohim.
And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 messengers to whom it was given to harm the earth and the sea, saying, Do not harm the earth.
Do not harm the earth. The same here is with the 2 messengers that went into Sodom and Amorah. We can't harm Sodom and Amorah until we have sealed you, until we have protected, preserved you, and until we have brought you safely out of harm's way. We cannot harm Sodom and Amorah until we have preserved these separated ones, until we have sealed these separated ones. There is nothing new under the sun. This is no new concept. The earth will not be harmed until his people have been sealed with the seal of the living Elohim. 144,000 worldwide. Come on, read.
Nor the sea, nor the trees, until we have sealed the servants of our Elohim upon their foreheads. And I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000, sealed out of all the tribes of the children of Yasharal.
Sealed out of all the tribes of the children of Yasharal. Be separate, Judah. Be separate, Yahudah, or die. Be separate or die. The destroyer comes. This is no new concept. The earth is Sodom and Amorah. Yes, it is. This earth is wicked. It is more wicked than it has ever been. We're living in the time, just in the days of Noah, so shall it be when the son of Adam returns. This is the days of Noah. When again, only a remnant will be preserved. Only a remnant will be separated. Be separate. Via the separated Ruach, the spirit of separation, the greater separation, Yahushua HaMashiach, and do righteousness. Or die. Or die. Revelation, I believe, chapter 9. Revelation chapter 9. We read this on the Shabbat. But we're going to read this again. We're going to read this again, so that this is embedded in your nefesh, that the destroyer, he's coming. Death is coming. It's written. He's coming. And he's coming soon. Soon the pit is going to be open. Soon darkness and chaos is coming upon this world. He's coming. Be separate or die. Be separate or die. The destroyer comes. Revelation chapter 9, beginning at verse 1. Read, little one.
And the 5th messenger sounded, and I saw a star from the heaven, which had fallen to the earth.
The morning star, Hasatan, read.
And the key to the pit of the deep was given to him. And he opened the pit of the deep.
Yeah.
And smoke went up out of the pit like the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun was darkened, also the air, because of the smoke of the pit. And out of the smoke locusts came upon the earth. And authority was given to them as the scorpions of the earth possess authority. And it was said to them that they shall not harm the grass of the earth, or any green matter, or any tree, but only those men who do not have the seal of Elohim upon their foreheads.
But only those men who have not been separated, who have not been a part of the greater separation, who have not been preserved, kept safe from trial, kept safe from destruction, kept safe from death, who is coming upon the earth. Read.
And it was given to them that they should not kill them, but to torture them for 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
And their torture was like the torture of a scorpion
Mm-hmm.
when it stings a man.
Mm-hmm.
And in those days men shall seek death,
Mm-hmm.
and shall not find it.
Mm-hmm.
And they shall long to die, but death shall flee from them.
Mm-hmm.
And the locusts looked like horses prepared for battle,
Mm-hmm.
and on their heads were crowns like gold, and their faces were like the faces of men.
Mm-hmm.
And they had hair like women's hair, and their teeth were like lions' teeth.
Mm-hmm.
And they had breastplates like breastplates of iron,
Mm-hmm.
and the sound of their wings was like the sound of chariots of many horses
Mm-hmm.
running into battle.
Mm-hmm.
And they have tails like scorpions and stings,
Mm-hmm.
and in their tail is their authority to harm men 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
And they have over them a sovereign,
And they have over them a sovereign, read.
the messenger of the pit of the deep,
The messenger of the pit of the deep, read.
whose name in Hebrew is Abaddon,
Whose name in Hebrew is Abaddon, read.
but in Greek he has the name Apollyon.
But in the Greek, he has the name Apollyon. He is the destroyer. He is Hasatan. He is death. He is destruction. He is coming. This star is going to be cast to the earth. Revelation 12 depicts this as well, when this great star is thrown to the earth. And when he is thrown to the earth, we're not going to read Revelation 12. When he is thrown to the earth, he is going to chase the remnant, chase the separated ones into the wilderness, but he will not be able to overcome them. And when he is not able to overcome the separated ones, he then turns. He then turns for the remnant of her seed. And after he turns for the remnant of her seed, he's got a right to them. He's got a right. He's got a right to, he's going to have a right to all flesh. He's going to have a right to all flesh because it belongs to him. It is legally his. But the separated ones, before this death, this mayhem, this chaos, this darkness comes upon the earth, there are some separated ones that must be preserved. There is these separated ones who are part of the greater separation, having the greater separation in them, the Ruach HaKadosh, the spirit, the Ruach of Yahushua HaMashiach. It is these who must be removed first. And when they are removed, he's going to remove his breath. He's going to remove his Ruach. He's going to turn off the living water. He's going to remove his light from the earth. And darkness is going to encompass the earth when death, destruction comes. And an unprecedented time of death is coming upon this earth, unlike the earth has ever seen. And if these days are not short, no flesh is going to remain. Be separate or die. The destroyer comes. Be separate or die. The destroyer comes. After Revelation 12, it says there in Revelation 12, after he could not overcome the separated ones, he turns to the remnant of her seed to attack them and to persecute them. And now we move into Revelation 13 here, little ones getting ready to read, where now, death now is on the earth. Death is on the earth. And now death has a right to all flesh. Come on, read, little one. Revelation 13, beginning at verse 1. And this is our last precept. Read.
And I stood on the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast coming up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his horns 10 crowns, and on his heads names of blasphemy. And the beast I saw was like a leopard, and his feet were like the feet of a bear, and his mouth like the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his throne and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as having been slain to death, and his deadly wound was healed.
And his deadly wound was healed. If you've been listening to YAHUAH'S Remnant channel at any length, you know by now that this is Nimrod, who was beheaded. Who is the beast, who was the first anti-Messiah, and he is the last anti-Messiah. He was the first man to be worshipped in the whole earth as a deity, as a mighty one, as a God. And he's going to be worshipped in the same way as the anti-Mashiach when he comes back. And Hasatan himself is going to indwell his body. He's going to put on flesh. This is the flesh he's going to put on. The flesh of Nimrod. The flesh of Nimrod, the rebellious one, the man of lawlessness, the man of rebellion, who is the 13th from Adam, whose name, Nimrod or Namrud, in itself means rebellion. His name was changed to Amraphel, and even the name Amraphel means a sayer of dark things. This is Nimrod who is being resurrected and coming up from the pit, of whom this is the flesh that Hasatan is going to inhabit. The Nimrod's flesh is still on the earth. It is still on the earth, but he himself is coming up out of the pit. is coming up out of the pit, and he and Hasatan are going to share this body. Come on, read.
And all the earth marveled after the beast, and they worshipped the dragon who gave authority to the beast.
And they worshipped the dragon who gave authority to the beast as the anti-Mashiach. Read.
And they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like the beast?
Mm-hmm.
Who is able to fight with him?
Mm-hmm.
And he was given a mouth speaking great matters and blasphemies, and he was given authority to do so 42 months.
Mm-hmm.
And he opened his mouth in blasphemies against Elohim, to blaspheme his name and his tent, and those dwelling in the heaven. And it was given to him to fight with the Kadosh ones.
And it was given to him to fight with the Kadosh ones, the remnant of the woman's seed. The remnant of a seed, those who were not part, are not part of the greater separation. And he was given what? Authority to fight against the Kadosh ones. Read.
And to overcome them.
And to overcome them. And to, hear him. And to overcome them. The flesh of Ephraim is going to be destroyed so that his soul will be saved. And to overcome them. Be separate or die. And to overcome them, be separate or die. The destroyer comes. Read, little one.
And authority was given to him over every tribe and tongue and nation.
And authority was given to him over every tribe and tongue and nation. The destroyer comes. Read.
And all those dwelling on the earth.
And all those dwelling on the earth.
Whose names have not been written in the book of the life of the slain lamb. From the foundation of the world shall worship him. If anyone has an ear, let him hear.
If anyone has an ear, let him hear. Be separate or die. The destroyer, he comes. Read, little one.
He who brings into captivity shall go into captivity.
He who brings into captivity, no different than Babel. No different than Babylon, where some were slain with the sword and bodies were cast out into the streets, and some were led away into captivity for 70 years. Read.
He who kills with the sword has to be killed with the sword.
He who has to be killed with the sword is going to be killed with the sword. No different, nothing new under the sun. As there were many slain by the sword by Nebuchadnezzar, and their bodies were thrown out in the streets, and bodies stacked on top of bodies thrown out as dung, and then the remnant of them were taken into captivity. The same is going to happen again. Many are going to die. Due to war, due to famine, due to disease, and due to wild beasts of the field, and due to the 4 messengers who are going to be released, who have been held bound at the mouth of the Euphrates River for such a time as appointed as this one. 1/4 and 1/3, bodies stacked on top of bodies. If these days are not shortened, no flesh is going to remain. Be separate or die. The destroyer, death cometh. Come on, read.
Here is the endurance and the belief of the Kadosh ones. And I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and spoke like a dragon. And he exercises all the authority of the first beast in his presence, and causes the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he does great signs, so that he even makes fire come down from the heaven on the earth before men. And he leads astray those dwelling on the earth because of those signs which he hath given to do before the beast, saying to those dwelling on the earth to make an image to the beast who was wounded by the sword, yet lived. And there was given to him to give ruach to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause to be killed as many as would not worship the image of the beast.
No different than Nebuchadnezzar in his image. Nothing new under the sun. As Namrud is the sovereign, was the first sovereign of Babylon, as now the whole earth is Babylon. And Nebuchadnezzar, being a shadow, tried to force the people to bow down to the image. The same thing is going to happen again. You're going to bow or you're going to die. You're going to be separate now or you're going to die. The destroyer, he does come. Come on, read.
And he causes all, both small and great, and rich and poor, and free and slave, to be given a mark upon their right hand or upon their foreheads, and that no one should be able to buy or sell except he that has the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here's the wisdom. He who has understanding, let him calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
Thank you, little one. Thank you, little one. Thank you, little one.
Esteem to the master.
And this mark is about worship. It is about worship. You find this same language in Exodus chapter 13. The Torah here and the Torah here. This is about worship. This is about who you worship. The name Nimrod bin Cush, Nimrod bin Cush, equals to 666. He is the beast. He is the first anti-Mashiach. He is the last anti-Mashiach. It is he whom Hasatan is going to dwell in flesh in. And there's going to be an unprecedented time, as we just read a glimpse of it. An unprecedented time of death. Many are going to die. Most are going to die, and some are going to go into captivity. No different than before. No different than before. But the Master is not speaking to them through me. He's speaking to a remnant. He's speaking to only a remnant, those who now have ears to hear, eyes to see, and a heart to understand, who understand the urgency of this time, that this is the consummation of the time. Those who will seek him unlike they've ever sought him before, to receive the spirit of separation, the separated Ruach, the spirit of Yahushua HaMashiach, the greater separation, and be separated unto righteousness, unto uncleanness, be separated from every unclean matter, to be separated unto death from life, be separated unto life from death, and perhaps enter on board the Ark of the Covenant to be brought to Mount Zion, where we will be given a song that no one else can sing. The message cannot be even any clearer. Be separate or die. Destruction, the destroyer comes. He always sends destruction, the destroyer, to destroy wickedness, to destroy uncleanness. He always does so. This is nothing new under the sun. Be separate or die. The destroyer comes. Thank you, Master, for your continued warnings to your people. I pray, Master, that these words, they're not falling on deaf ears. I'm not ignorant, Master, and I'm under no illusion that most are receiving these words. They're probably tired of hearing the warnings, but I have no choice but to speak your words. And I'm under no illusion because you have said only 144,000 are going to escape the hour of trial and be brought to your mountain. And so most who are under the sound of my voice, they're not heeding these words. They're tired of hearing them. These words, they mean nothing to them. I've seen them, Master. I've seen them. I've seen their behavior. I've seen many of their fruit. I've seen them. And I know that these words, that with most of them, they mean nothing to them. And for them, it's going to be worse because they have sat under your words. They have heard your words. And they have no excuse. They will have no excuse. They have been told that death is coming, that destruction is coming, that Hasatan is coming. And they've been given the choice to choose life, to be separate or die. And they've been warned that the destroyer comes. So their blood is not on my hands. Their blood, Master, is not on my hands. Their blood is upon their own heads. But for those who hear, Master, for those who hear, I pray that this word, this seed has been planted on fertile, tilled, fertilized soil, such that your seed, the seed of the Torah, the seed of life, the seed of the Ruach HaKadosh, the seed of Yahushua HaMashiach, who is the seed, who is the sun, who is the noon, will be planted in that seed, that soil, such that your living water, the Ruach HaKadosh, will come and water that seed, so that it will grow to become a mighty tree producing the fruit that leads to everlasting life and that which will lead to Mount Zion. Let none of them, let none of your children, let none of those who are called by your name, let none of your sheep be lost. Yes, let none of these seeds that have been thrown fall by the wayside with them. Let none of them fall on shallow soil, on stony ground, and let none of them fall amongst thorns. But those who are called by your name, whom you have separated in this season with the seal of the living Elohim, with the seal of redemption, let that seed, the seed of the Torah, the seed of life, the seed of the Son, Yahushua HaMashiach, let it, the greater separation, let it be planted in fertile soil, such that that tree will grow to produce fruit, choice fruit, first fruit, that will lead to everlasting life and that will lead to being waved as first fruit on Mount Zion, giving a song that no one else can sing, and brought back to our land But those who say that they are Yahudim and are not will be caused to be brought before us and to worship before us and to know that you have loved us and to know what true Yahudi men and Yahudi women look like. And indeed, if it doesn't look like you, Yahusha, it is wrong. If it doesn't look like you, if our behavior, if our actions and our inactions don't look like you, then it's wrong. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, our Master, I pray. So be it, so be it, so be it. Once again, to those of you on YouTube, we're grateful that you stopped by to spend this fourth day gathering with us. We pray once more that you've received something that have challenged you, shaken you, edified you, and that has caused you, even now as you're listening under the sound of my voice, to fall before the feet of the Master, to lay at the feet of your kinsman Redeemer, to pull the cover off of him and to cover yourself with it, to cover yourself with his righteousness and becoming his bride, and he becoming your husband, he becoming your kinsman Redeemer, redeeming you from death to life. May you even now be driven to that place, the place where there's covering for your nakedness, for your shame, for your sin, and the place where there is forgiveness for your sins. Until the next time that we meet, Yahuwah barak you and guard you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and show favor unto you. Yahuwah lift up his face upon you and give you shalom. Thus you shall put my name on the children of Yasha'al, and I myself shall barak them. So be it, so be it, so be it. Shalom.